Well, today I'm in Yellowstone National Park in Wyoming, and it's amazing. I have loved every minute of this. I could, just like with Devil's Tower, I could explore and explore and explore. It's amazing to me. There isn't an inch of this space that isn't beautiful and overwhelming to me. I love it. I just had no idea there would be so much driving involved. And part of that is on me because I don't plan anything. I just jump right in, head first, and hope for the best. But also, God forbid I ever open a map. I don't know. I'm here and I still haven't looked at a map. I have a map and I still haven't looked at it. That's just how I roll. I am perpetually flirting with disaster. But before I tell you about Yellowstone, I should probably tell you about what happened in Cody, Wyoming, and how this happened, and how this happened, and especially with how I got this shot. Named for William F. Cody, better known as Buffalo Bill, Cody, Wyoming is the east gateway to Yellowstone National Park, which is how I ended up there. What you probably don't know is that it's also the rodeo capital of the world.
As our new rancher picked up in Darrell Lamb and Clay ready moved in, put our cowboy on the ground. He can hear you now.
Now, my only experience with rodeo is what I've seen on TV. And it's not really something I've ever sought out or looked for or wanted to watch, but I figured while I'm in Cody, why not? Why not do as the Codians do? So I went to the Cody Rodeo Night, and I had actually a really good time. There were some parts of the culture that I didn't really understand, and some traditions and things like that that weren't really my thing, but I had a really good time. I'm not gonna lie, I enjoyed it. Would I ever go again? Yeah, sure, absolutely. If I were ever to find myself in Cody, Wyoming again, I definitely highly recommend the Cody Rodeo Night. It's a good time. But that's enough about rodeos. Let's get back to this disaster. The first thing I did when I got into Cody was to figure out where everything was. I looked for the rodeo arena, and then I started looking for a place to park and camp. I started by loading up freecampsites.net, which told me of this spot right near the rodeo where you could park and stay overnight for free. And at first I thought, cool, that's easy. But then I started reading reviews that said you'd need a four-wheel drive to get there because the road was really rough. And then, of course, some reviews contradicted that by saying you don't need a four-wheel drive, that it's just a rough road, but you can do it. Well, I didn't know who to believe on that one, so I decided to scope it out for myself before attempting to get in there after dark, and I'm so glad I did. The road was, in fact, very rough. Rocks and dirt on a narrow, heavily rutted, extremely steep, twisting trail with no shoulder, just a steep drop off on one side. I was worried about sliding off the edge, but I was a lot more worried about getting stuck or or hitting the undercarriage of the van and damaging something. Fortunately, although I did bottom out once and hit the frame, it didn't damage anything. It didn't tear anything off, or I don't think it bent the frame or anything. It wasn't that bad. But then there was another moment where I hit a bump and it threw the whole van sideways, and that's when the shelf came loose. It broke free from the bolts. Other than that, I did manage to get up to the spot before deciding that I absolutely did not want to attempt this again in the dark, because it would definitely be after dark by the time I got back. So I just drove back down. It was way too sketchy and too much for me. The best part is, when I got to the bottom, I met a guy who was in a silver Mustang who assured me that they go racing up and down this road all the time, which to me was like, no thank you. Maybe you guys can do that. For me, it's not something that I'm used to or willing to do. So I decided I was going to boondock at the local Walmart instead. I have to say, this was also the turning point where I kind of stopped relying on freecampsites.net. I would open the app just to see what was available whenever I'd get to a new place, but like 9 times out of 10, I mean, it was a total crapshoot. It's a shame because it also kind of killed this vision I had in my head of just driving out into the wilderness and being able to set up camp, wherever on free lands. To be honest, I really don't know what I was expecting. This is where my inexperience hurts me, because I'm not sure what I was expecting from the whole van life camping experience. I don't know how people do this full time. I don't know where they find that they can stay or park overnight. I started to realize that a lot of van lifers don't, which is the whole point of a stealth camper van, is that yeah, you can park almost anywhere, but you have to be discreet about it, and not every spot is going to be the perfect Instagram-worthy site. Not always going to be like beautiful sunsets and sunrises. Sometimes it's going to be a neighborhood in a suburban area, or a sketchy city street, or even just a Walmart parking lot in the middle of Wyoming. I don't know what I was thinking, to be honest, and once I started to get used to that idea, then it became, my options opened up a lot more after that, is what I'm trying to say, is that once I stopped expecting what I was going to find, then I was able to find things that I wasn't expecting, if that makes sense. Anyway, that's the story of how I almost killed my van and myself along with it. It opened my eyes in a lot of ways about what to do and what to expect when I get into some of these places. I hope you enjoyed this video. There's more to come. Last note, I just wanted to say that a lot of these videos are backlogged because I was just recording them as I could and I hadn't had time to edit them. So for example, you're gonna see the video before this one is me running all over Yellowstone Park and just having a good time, despite the fact that I'm telling a story in this video of before I even got to Yellowstone Park, which it was just the day right before. It's just the fact that it's hard to tell a story of what Yellowstone Park is. They're just going to be a little out of order, and I apologize for that, but that's the nature of living a non-linear life where you end up in places you don't expect and parts of the story change as opposed to what you were hoping to do. I hope any of that makes sense. I don't know. Anyway, thanks for watching. Subscribe for more. Definitely more coming. Have a great day.